Forget about the past. I'm doing something new. It's happening now. Can't you see it? I'm creating rivers in the deserts and pathways in the wilderness. Hi, I'm Candy, and I help successful women in midlife reduce anxiety, improve relationships without feeling overwhelmed, using my emotional mindscape method so that they can elevate their overall quality of life. I'm going to speak with you today about 3 steps to letting go, even when it seems impossible. It was a warm summer night in 2001, and I thought I was going to explode. I had had it in my marriage, and I just couldn't take it anymore. As soon as my husband got home, I bolted out the door to call my grandmother. I hopped in my car, and I found the nearest grocery store parking lot. I began to tell her every detail of pain and betrayal. She's quiet. She patiently waits. And she waits until I'm done talking and she says, "Darling, broaden your shoulders." To me, that was saying expand your consciousness. Although this wasn't what I expected, I wasn't surprised because I came from a family of women who simply just didn't tell their daughters to leave their husbands. They would support you wherever you were. But when she said broaden your shoulders, I felt I had grown wings. But I still couldn't comprehend that message fully. So fast forward, I got my divorce. I sold my salon. Yes, I was and still am a licensed cosmetologist, and I enrolled in the University of North Carolina. I was busy getting my bachelor's when all of a sudden I couldn't breathe. I was diagnosed with asthma. However, over the years, I noticed that the only times I really got sick was when I was stressed. So back in 2013, I was now working on my doctorate degree in adult education, and boom, one of the biggest attacks I had ever had hit me. That was when I realized my asthma attacks were a result of me not letting go. How so? Breathing is a very natural response ruled by the parasympathetic nervous system. In trying to stop the life of a situation, I was stopping my own life. So I learned I needed to expand, which is consciously injecting only what serves you. However, that doesn't mean that you run from all things you hate, but serving you means for your highest good. And we know most times that doesn't always feel good. What it means is consciously finding the lessons in everything that happens to you and how it serves you until everything that doesn't serve you becomes insignificant. I call this finding the win. Now, this doesn't mean that you run from all the things you hate. Serving you means for your highest good. And we know, again, most of the times that just doesn't feel good, right? So when you run into something that doesn't feel good, you hold on tighter, and this is natural because the brain wants to win. For example, if I go to the gym and my trainer tells me to do something that I can't seem to accomplish, it will bug me to the point that I'll want to try it again and again until I get the breakthrough. Once I get the breakthrough, my brain will check this off as a win and I can let go. Thus, my consciousness will expand and make room for more and more wins, which will make the last win less significant. Another example was when Martin Luther King spoke his last speech. He knew that he was going to die, yet here he was in his way. What finding a win was to perceive a loss and how he tricked his brain into letting go. And he says, I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. Martin knew that his mortal body was going to transition, so he tricked his brain as a way to help others believe that if something happened to him, everyone would still win. So this is a powerful, conscious, expanding technique that you can use to help you let go even when it seems impossible. One who has an expanded consciousness can do 3 things very well. They're able to dismantle their fears, process emotions objectively, and see beyond the seen. Why? Because you have a bigger place to play. I don't care how serious your life or situation is, it is a game to be won or lost. And to lose It just simply means that you don't have the tools, but all the tools are in you, but many of them are hidden in the mansions you are afraid to go in. If you have a constricted consciousness, your imagination doesn't have the space to create the scene beyond the scene. Expanding your consciousness starts with a desire to create a bigger space for all the experiences and feelings you must process over the years. Many times, anxiety attacks can occur when our minds begin to fixate and then close in on us. One of the quickest ways to expand your consciousness is to breathe. This is the opposite of what I was doing when I began having asthma attacks after my divorce. And while I was in college, I was trying to keep my world narrow and constricted and closed because I didn't want anything else to go wrong. As a result, I'd send messages to my nervous system to constrict my bronchial tubes. It took several asthma attacks before I made the connection between my attacks and my emotional responses to outside stimuli. It wasn't until I simply began to teach myself how to breathe consciously that I was able to instantly expand my consciousness. So when you can't let go, do this instead. Breathe. The next step is to detach. As women, we are designed to hold on because we are receptors who receive and reciprocate. This is what gives us the ability to love our babies unconditionally. Many people think that the heart gets more attached than the brain, but that's not true. However, a mother goes through stages of attachment and detachment if she's healthy. At first, we are so in love and crazy about our babies. I remember when I first had my babies, I was literally addicted to them, their smell, nursing them, and talking to them. And my mind and body had to shift into nurturing and making milk. I was consumed with their safety. Then, as time went on, the reality of their individualism kicked in, and I had to find a reason to shift out of my head and into my heart so that I could love from a different place. The reason this is more powerful when you align with it is because you're looking at what's best for the person, place, or thing. For example, this is one of my favorites. Many people are attached to religion. So attached that they get defensive when someone believes differently than they do. I always remind those who are attached to religion that God doesn't need a defense. Religion acts as training wheels for the spiritually underdeveloped. For those who are hit hard by that, let me use diet as an example. You have people who need a diet plan. Then you have people who just eat right. Now, are you making the connection? So as you expand, you pull away from all things that hold you back without even realizing it. If you're focusing on your win, and now you have found a reason that is also best for whatever it is that you're attached to, that you expand beyond them, the idea or the situation, you can see much clearer what's best for your highest good. Everything is happening to bring you closer to your higher self, not to give you what you want. Getting what you want is the reward for tapping into your higher self to get it. So in the first step, we had to find the win so that we could expand. Well, this one, we have to find the reason that benefits the other. This is going to require you to move from your head and go into your heart. The mind holds on to things because it's addicted to familiarity. It wants the same thing over and over and over again. When you decide on a win and you begin to make that shift, the mind is going to try to pull you back into that very stronghold that you're trying to shift from. It's very enticing. I tell people all the time to never judge the drug addict because anything you become dependent on becomes your drug as far as your brain is concerned. Your reason is going to be the support for your win. Have you ever heard of phantom pain? This is the phenomenon that amputees live with. They think they're experiencing pain in the limb that has been amputated. This is how powerful the brain is. It's hardwired to remember intense emotion, intense physical pain or pleasure, and anything that's attached to you in a big way. When something is taken from you, you will constantly look for the essence of that thing and attach yourself to it. And a great example is Greg Braden talks about the 7 unseen mirrors. The third mirror is the mirror of what's lost. It's the mirror of what we've lost, given, or had taken away from us. If you find yourself unable to detach, ask yourself, what have I lost, had stolen, or given away? Once you pinpoint what that is, you find that you can heal that area and detach from that phantom pain, thought, idea, person, place, or thing. The third step is connect. We have expanded, we have detached. Now let's connect. Attachment comes from judging, and being judged comes from the brain. The heart does not judge. Therefore, it accepts people, places, and things as they are while yet remaining connected. If you think about nature and the environment we live in, it is an example of detachment and connection. The earth always recovers from what we call a disastrous event. The body does the same thing when we sleep. By age 70, 40% of our heart is renewed. The skin replaces itself every 28 days. Hair renews itself every 6 years. Red blood cells are renewed every 4 months. The liver regenerates every 150 days. This is the forgiveness process. Your body forgives itself. It detaches from any damage done to it, and it forgives you by healing itself. This is what you are commanded to do, not so you can go to heaven. You are commanded to forgive so that you can be in alignment with the natural healing powers of the universe and your body. In order to do that, you must detach. So if you find it hard to find a reason that benefits the other, look how good of a reason you have for yourself. Now, you're in perfect shape to connect with others in a healthy way. Attachment is out of fear, but connection is born out of service. Scripture says it's not good for man to be alone. So let's create a helper. Trust me on this. You cannot help anyone you are codependent on. What is codependency? It is an addiction to a conditioned response based on old patterns that no longer serve your highest good. This is an unhealthy attachment. We've all been guilty of doing this at some point in our lives. However, as we ascend higher in our development, we unhook ourselves and connect by knowing our own value and simply sharing that value with others, but only for the reason of illuminating that value within them. Everything is connected. It is the human mind that needs to find disconnection, difference, and discord. However, nature recognizes that all things work together for the good. All healthy connections have one thing in common. They see the good in themselves and they see that same good in the other. Notice how your most challenging relationships are the ones where you say, I'd never do that. Why did you do that? Why did you do it that way? You should have done it this way. Oh, I'm very different from that. I don't do that. In order to make healthy connections, you must see yourself in others. Once you master this, it works to your benefit. And this is how it goes. So let's see you see the good in others. So someone comes along and you think it is the one, the best friend you never had, the mother you never had, the lover you never had, and they fail you. Instead of you giving them all the power by placing what you value in them, you're going to assign that value to yourself, right? You're going to take it away from that person, place, or thing and reassign it to yourself. Again, you are that which you seek. This is also an example of self-concept rearranging. You must take note and begin to see everything you are attached to outside of yourself as already being not just in you, but you. As Neville Goddard states, everything is you pushed out. This will aid you in expanding your consciousness and making more room within yourself for the entry of that which serves you. When you focus on what's useful and of service to you and see yourself connected to others, then you will serve them as you serve yourself. Serving others based on their need, which is simply a reflection of your needs equals compassion. This creates the greatest connection. Compassion is more powerful than empathy because it requires you to become an active participant in the healing of self and others. It goes goes past feeling sorry and deeper into true connection. This is the simple yet powerful tool for letting go, even when it seems impossible. So, this is called Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry equals responsibility. Please forgive me equals alignment. I love you equals passion. Do this for 21 days and feel the shift. This lowered my blood pressure 7 points. It wasn't really high, but it was borderline. I just started this mantra and it really made a difference in my life on a permanent basis. So, breathe deep. And go to my Shifting from Force to Power website. Better yet, you can go to the Letting Go formula. Go to that website, and what you will find is the actual formula that I use to give my students in my Shifting from Force to Power course. It's priceless. It's phenomenal. It has helped so many of my students actually shift. They're able to let go. They're able to complete things that they never thought they were able to complete. They were able to break barriers just with this one formula. I have several formulas in my course, Shifting from Force to Power. But in the Letting Go formula, which is www.thelettinggoformula.com. You go there, and I'm going to share that with you, okay? So it's very, very powerful. So if you get a chance, do the Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. This is so powerful. And it does. It helps you release and let go. And it sends everyone what they need to do to let go as well. I hope that this has been beneficial to you. And peace.